Hi, everyone. Welcome back for episode 42 of the Simply One podcast. I'm your host, Colin, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chris.
How we doing, everybody?
We're just a couple of best friends who are passionate about all things pop culture. If you're looking for lukewarm takes on movies, video games, TV shows, or even the occasional comic, then we have the show for you.
That's right.
We haven't done a comic in a minute.
No.
We talked about it.
Yeah, I'd like to do a comic that's not Marvel. Like, just like
Or
a
or
good
DC.
yeah, just
Have we done any DC comics?
No. I thought we talked about last time the comic about Batman, like in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to do something like that. Or I know there's a couple of just other good comics out there I'd like
get
to
some
get
indie
into.
comics. There's one that I read called Sex Criminals that's really good.
Okay.
And it's like a weird comedy where, like, it's a couple who, when they have sex, time freezes for everybody but them.
Okay.
And then so they, like, basically divine a way to, like, we're going to go into the bank, go to the bathroom, bang one out real quick, and then rob the bank while everyone's frozen. Like, legitimately. And so, like, they're criminals but they're sex criminals.
That sounds amazing.
It's actually really good.
No, that sounds really, really good.
I can't think of the guy's name now, but he wrote Hawkeye, My Life as a Weapon, which was one of the major inspirations for the Hawkeye series.
Really?
And he's I believe, the main writer on Sex Criminals. It is. It's a good comic.
Excellent.
Excellent. But no, yeah, I like indie comics. Obviously, The Walking Dead, I think, is probably the most famous, indie comic. But, yeah.
So I have to get into some and do a little bit of research before
Do a little reading. So, this week, we're finally giving our thoughts on the sequel that's like 13 years in the making, Avatar: Way of the Water. Mm-hmm. But before we do, we have to talk about...
Excuse me, I am opening up a high C.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, but man, those little juice boxes.
Little juicy boxes.
Stop. You give me one of those, stop playing. I'll tear it up live
right now. No, we got trailers for Barbie, Scream 6, Oppenheimer, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. All of them I'm very excited for.
I am too.
Yeah, all of them seem really good.
We got a release window, at least, for Spider-Man 2 on PS5. We got some major updates on DC and Henry Cavill's next large project.
Not a sponsor.
So if you're ready, we'll just jump into the news.
Dude, let's hop right in.
Let's jump. You ready to jump? Mm-hmm. Tell me you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. I want to hear it.
Right in the crack.
Right.
There you go.
We're going to
we'll go jump
in your ass.
Jump in your ass.
Right in the crack.
Right in the crack.
So we got our first trailer for Barbie. I really enjoyed the fact that it's like, it is a parody of the 2001 A Space Odyssey.
Yes.
You know, with just a bomb, 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 bomb. And instead of chimpanzees like playing with bones and rocks, it's just little girls playing with baby dolls. And instead of the monolith, it is Barbie. Just a giant statue of Barbie that is actually just Margot Robbie. Didn't really show us a whole lot, which I like. I mean, it's just, you kind of get an idea of tone.
It's Barbie.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Margot Robbie, I think, looks really good as Barbie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the outfit they had her in, the way she, pulled the glasses down and gave like a wink. You know,
it's like, that
feels like Barbie. We got a quick glimpse of all the different Kens. Where, like, you saw like Ryan Gosling, and then we see Simu Liu, doing like some dance where it looks like maybe there's a lot of Kens dancing.
Right.
And then that's really it. Like, we get a quick glimpse of like basically the neighborhood.
Yes.
And it looks like a bunch of Malibu Barbie, like dream homes and things like that. You know what I mean?
Just a perfect little one.
Yeah, exactly.
I
think it'll be funny.
I hope that what's that one song?
Barbie Girl?
No.
I was like, what?
Because we're living in a material world.
Material Girl by Madonna.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was blanking on the name.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a teaser. It was like a minute long.
Yeah.
Not a lot to it, but I really did enjoy the vibe of it. And if they kind of carry that tone, I think it'll actually be a good movie.
Yeah.
Let's see. Scream 6 actually looks pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
New York.
Any of the Screams other than the first one, I don't think.
I've only seen the first one.
Which I really enjoyed the first one.
Yeah, the first one was really good.
I understand that the last one was actually pretty good. So I really like you said, I like the idea of putting Ghostface in like a big city, New York City. And the poster that we got actually says like New York, new rules. So I like that. It sounds like maybe they're going to kind of stick with that motif of like horror movies having rules, you know? And I mean, you got a good opportunity to like, well, horror has changed. So now what are the rules in horror? You know what I mean? As opposed to like in the 90s. We got to see Jenna Ortega. Mm-hmm. I didn't get to. I think she might have been in the one prior to this, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But the trailer just shows like a scene in the subway, and it looks like it's taking place around Halloween. And you've got a bunch of people wearing Ghostface masks, and it's like, oh man, like who is the killer, right?
Which one's the real
and
one?
They kind of did a play on like Alien, where the trailer says, in a city of millions of people, no one can hear you scream, as opposed to in space, no one can hear you scream. So I kind of like that it's already kind of referencing other horror, which is the whole premise of Scream. And yeah, I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, what's your favorite scary movie?
What's your favorite scary movie, Cindy? Yeah.
Also from from Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Like, stabs her in the chest, pops out the implant.
Yeah. Or I like when she's the cheerleader is in the.
The dad hits the daughter in the car.
Yeah.
Because he's getting roadhead.
Yeah.
He's getting dumb and he's just mows his daughter over.
Just runs the daughter over. Yeah, and I like in the first Scary Movie when she's in the showers, the cheerleader, or like in the locker room. And she's like making fun of scary movies, and it's like, oh, is this the part where I break my leg? And she just like snaps her ankle, and he's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, he's like, oh my God. He's afraid of her. He chops her head off and holds it up, and she's like, ooh, woo, wow. This is so scary. He's like, oh my God.
What the fuck?
You're a freak. We got a first trailer for Oppenheimer, and I thought it was really interesting the way they released it, where it actually premiered in front of Avatar, and for the whole weekend, it wasn't available online. It was only available in theater, which was kind of I don't want to say a brave choice, but a bold choice in a world where it's like, you got to release that trailer online now.
Or else it's nothing.
Yeah. I like it feels like it'll be a very anxiety-driven movie.
Oh, yeah.
Of like, because Oppenheimer famously like hated the bomb, right? The atom bomb, the hydrogen bomb, just because of what the creation. It's a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
And he was really torn up about it. And so I like the quote from there where he says like, they won't fear it until they understand it, and they won't understand it until they've used it. And you're like, yeah, like it's that, and it's like this weird thing of like no choices here. I have to make this thing that I don't want to make, and it seems like the movie might be building up to like the first testing maybe, and it'll all be surrounded around the idea of, okay, this thing's gonna work, and then like, and a party doesn't want it to work, right? Things like that. I never know how to say his name. Cillian Murphy.
I think it's Cillian Murphy.
I feel like it is.
I think
he's playing Oppenheimer. Doesn't sound like him at all. He's putting on a pretty decent American voice. Josh Peck. We didn't hear any lines or anything from him. But like, you just see a flash of Josh Peck.
Yeah.
Jack Quaid is in the.
Yeah.
A few people that we didn't see, but that I know are in it. Robert Downey Jr. is in the movie.
Yes.
Florence Pugh is in the movie.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting, but it's a really stacked cast.
Yeah, no, it's got like a really, really good cast, and I'm trying to think. I thought there was one other person.
Yeah, I mean, could be more people,
sure.
But yeah, there's a lot of cast members that are like, wow, there's a lot of big names, and I do think that this is the first Christopher Nolan movie not at Warner Brothers.
Okay,
but I'm not 100% on that. In fact, I'm going to fact check that because I would be interested to see if it is.
Pull that up.
Yeah, let's find out. Yeah, it's going to be distributed by Universal Pictures, not Peter Parker having a future.
Right.
And now you just took him back to square one
he
again.
Doesn't have it anymore.
So, in the trailer for Spider-Verse, we get a glimpse of like a weird nexus of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Where like they're walking and in like intersecting
Right.
roads that are going
Almost
like
like
in.
almost like a city,
Yeah, it's like a city that goes in every direction.
but of just spider people.
Of just spider people, including you get a glimpse at Spider-Man from the PS4 version game, where he's got the white spider on his chest. You see Spider-Man from like the PlayStation 1 game. There's Ultimate Spider-Man is in there from like the cartoon.
There was one I saw online. It's like a golden Spider-Man that you see running.
Yeah.
And apparently it's like Spider-Man America 20 something.
Oh, okay.
I don't
know that one.
I don't know, but apparently everyone's like freaking out about it, so I'll have to do some.
We get to see Spider-Woman, and she is pregnant. It looks like there's a few shots from like, is she pregnant? Like it looks like she's got a pregnant belly on her. She's got a baby in her.
Is her kid gonna have 6 arms?
Is that a fart? You just go, no.
Could you even say something?
How could
like
you
that?
ask me something like that? So, let's see. Talking about Spider-Man, in Sony's like looking into 2023 like PlayStation blog, they just casually mentioned that Spider-Man 2 for the PS5 would release in fall of 2023.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of said that, and then Insomniac kind of like tweeted like a link to that and was like, in case you missed it, fall 2023. So I don't know if that was like ran by them or not. You know what I mean? It felt a little bit like Insomniac was like, shit, well, yeah, hey, here you go. It's going to be released in fall 2023. But because they have been pretty radio silent since the first trailer. Haven't really heard anything from
I'm
them.
excited.
I am too. I'm excited for that.
I
And
still have to
I
play-
honestly thought it was going to be like 2024.
I still have to play Miles Morales.
That's really good. Now that you got your PS5, you got to get in there. All right. Got a lot of DC update again. There's a lot going on over there right now.
Yeah.
So a lot of quotes. So I'm going to take a big swig of drink here because I've got some spoken to do.
Do your thing, baby.
Do your thing, baby. So not long after recording last week's episode, Henry Cavill actually took to his Instagram account to make the official announcement that he will actually not be the DCU's Superman. So I know that last week when we talked, it was kind of up in the air that like what was going to happen with Man of Steel. Is there a way that they could
still get him in there?
And no. So now it is official. He will not. So the quote he put on Instagram was, I just had a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and it's sad news, everyone. I will, after all, not be returning as Superman. After being told by the studio to announce my return back in October, prior to their hire, this news isn't the easiest, but that's life. The changing of the guard is something that happens. I respect that. James and Peter have a universe to build. I wish them and all involved with the new universe the best of luck and the happiest of fortunes. He goes on to say, for those who have been by my side through the years, we can mourn for a bit, but then we must remember, Superman is still around. Everything he stands for still exists, and the examples he sets for us are still there. My turn to wear the cape has passed, but what Superman stands for never will. It's been a fun ride with you all, onwards and upwards. So that was really nice, I'm sure it wasn't him writing it by himself, you know what I mean? I'm sure it was a team, right?
Right.
But still, I think it came together well, and it has a nice sentiment of, like, there's no hard feelings, right? He's understanding of, like,
It happens, like, I get it.
when I was rehired, I guess, it was by a different team, and, like, the plan that they had and the plan that's going forward aren't the same, and, I get it. And like he said, this doesn't affect Superman. No. Like, Superman still exists, right?
It's just not going to be me.
You can still love Superman. And so James Gunn, in the same vein of news here, James Gunn is currently writing a Superman movie that will play a major role in the universe that he and Peter Safran are building, which makes sense. It's Superman, right? The project, while not being an origin story, will focus on the younger years of the hero, which played a big role in Henry Cavill not being cast as that Superman. There's the double thing of he's in, unfortunately it's been on 10 years almost, or more since he was, or, just about 10 years since he was Superman in the first Man of Steel. And, he's an older looking man, not old, but not a young man.
Right.
And, also he's still tied to the Snyderverse stuff, visually where you're like, that's...
Who do you think they're going to go with? Who do you think would be a good
I don't know. So I've seen people throwing some names around, but I feel like they would probably go like the Marvel route and try and get like medium actor, like a medium known actor. You know what I mean? Because if they're wanting to be young, they're obviously trying to go the Marvel route of like, let's get either a nobody, right, or a lesser known who's young and can grow up with the role. And also, we can get them for cheap because nobody knows who they are, right? Get them attached to a 7-year contract at a low wage.
Listen, I would make an excellent.
I saw a bunch of people being like, "Let's get Tom Holland in there since he's going to be everybody." Instead of Nathan Drake, he's now Superman. No, so
I'd be a great Batman. So DC hit me up.
I can brood. Yeah. So James Gunn did tweet, Peter and I have a DC slate ready to go, which we couldn't be more over the moon about. We'll be able to share some exciting information about our first projects at the beginning of the new year, which I called that shit last week. Mm-hmm. Among those on the slate is Superman. In the initial stages, our story will be focused on an earlier part of Superman's life, so the character will not be played by Henry Cavill. But we just had a great meeting with Henry, and we're big fans, and we talked about a number of exciting possibilities to work together in the future. So, they weren't writing it off entirely that, like, we really like you, and we'd like to do some stuff with you, but it's just not
right
this.
Now.
Yeah. So, obviously, James Gunn and Peter Safran have been met with a flurry of hate and calls for their termination, basically. So, the Snyderverse crowd, obviously, is an especially loud chunk of that. James Gunn took to Twitter, actually, to address the outcry, stating, quote, little joke for hardcore history fans. Here we go. Quote. Oh, my father's calling me. I'm going to just swipe away on that. Sorry, father. That's awkward. Let's see here. One of the things Peter and I were aware of, I like that I've answered my mom's phone call on here before and been like, you're on the podcast, Mom, say hi. I'm like, get out of here, Dad. Can't trust what he's going to say, One of the things Peter and I were aware of when we took this job as heads of DC Studios was a certain minority of people online that could be, well, uproarious and unkind, to say the least. Our choices for the DCU are based upon what we believe is best for the story and best for the DC characters who have been around for nearly 85 years. Perhaps these choices are great, perhaps not, but they are made with sincere hearts and integrity and always with the story in mind. No one loves to be harassed or called names, but to be frank, we've been through significantly worse. Disrespectful outcry will never, ever affect our actions. We were aware there would be a period of turbulence when we took this gig, and we knew we would sometimes have to make difficult and not so obvious choices, especially in the wake of the fractious nature of what came before us. But this means little to us in comparison to our jobs as artists and custodians in helping to create a wide and wonderful future for DC. Basically saying, like, blocking out the haters, So again, pretty gracious way to handle things as far as basically being like, hey, we knew that this was going to happen and it's not going to have any impact on what we're doing. Like,
tough luck.
Sorry, And that's the thing is, like, those movies don't not exist. Right? Those movies still exist.
Yeah.
And I hate to break it to you, Snyderverse fans. They're not good and they're not going anywhere anyways. Like, at least not quick. Ben Affleck's out as Batman, right? Sort of back in, kind of, for, like, The Flash. Probably not. Fucking,
they're probably going to take...
the Man of Steel 2 that might have been happening ain't happening.
Is Jason Momoa still...
For now. But remember, he's probably not. I think it's pretty much safe to say that anything from prior is not happening. Like, Wonder Woman 3 ain't happening, Wonder Woman 2 wasn't good. Like,
what about Ezra Miller? I know that they were fighting real hard to keep Ezra on. It's
different leadership. So I think it's like, we got him squared away. Let's release his movie and then cancel the future of that, because it does sound like there was some rumors. Nothing's been confirmed entirely because there's nothing being confirmed that it existed to begin with. But there was allegedly a Superman cameo and a Wonder Woman cameo in The Flash. Those have both been cut. So we talked about that last week, how, like, there's the potential that cameos are being removed just because you don't want to promise something that's not going to happen.
It's not coming out.
That sounds like that actually happened. So it's not all bad news for Henry Cavill, at least. As just a day or two, maybe, after he announced that he was no longer Superman, he announced that his next major undertaking would be... Oh, my goodness, excuse me. would be him being executive producer and a star in films and TV series for Amazon in the Warhammer 40K universe. So that's a big move for Amazon. First of all, to acquire Games Workshop.
Yeah.
My understanding was that they acquired Games Workshop entirely, but I don't know if that's true or if it's that they just acquired the rights, like to film and TV. But the creative director of Games Workshop said, "It's great news, and we're absolutely thrilled. We're working with a fantastic triumvirate in Henry, Vertigo, and Amazon. Henry's well-known love of Warhammer 40K and his passion as a world builder and storyteller will serve us all well in the coming years. Finally, Warhammer will make it to the screen as the fans have hoped and as they deserve. Exciting times." Right? And then Henry Cavill's announcement on Instagram just reads, "I have loved Warhammer since I was a boy, making this moment truly special for me. The opportunity to shepherd this cinematic universe from its inception is quite the honor and the responsibility." He goes on, he says, "I couldn't be more grateful for all the hard work put in by Vertigo, Amazon Studios, and Games Workshop to make this happen. One step closer to making a nigh-on lifelong dream come true." So, like, he's like, this is my dream. And what's funny is, I remember seeing when he announced that he was no longer Superman, Rahul Kohli, who plays the sheriff in Midnight Mass, and he's like the groundskeeper, I think, in Haunting of Bly Manor. He does a lot of stuff with that guy. I just lost his name, but he made a tweet and was basically like, "Hey, Henry, like, really sorry to hear about this. Hit me up. We can talk about making something for Warhammer." Or, for Warhammer 40K. And then, like, this was announced a day later. And then he tweeted and was like, "I legit did not know that this has been in the works for a while, obviously, because, this didn't happen overnight.
Sure.
It was just good timing, I think." But, yeah, Rahul Kohli was like, "Oh, my God.
Oh, it's happening.
Oh, my God.
It's happening."
Yeah. He just willed it to be. But no, so I think that's exciting for Henry Cavill and exciting for fans of, Warhammer. It's a pretty interesting universe, and I've played a little bit in it with, like, Space Hulk and things like that. Yeah. But, I'll be interested to see what they do with it. I think him having executive producing powers will be a major game changer for him.
Yeah, because he's a big nerd, so
right.
And he's going to be strict by the book.
I mean, you figure that was one of his conflicts on The Witcher, was, disrespecting the source. Mm-hmm. And with him being an executive producer, he gets a lot of creative say. So
I've noticed a lot of time, like, lately, a lot of actors have been becoming executive producers or
of their own projects. Yeah, well, and that makes sense from, like, a control standpoint of, like.
Well, I guess more in the sense of, like, I just notice a lot more actors making their own, projects besides just doing acting itself.
Right. Yeah.
Which I'm very happy about.
Heck, by the end of the show, I know Bryan Cranston for certain, but I think Aaron Paul as well. They were both executive producers on Breaking Bad, and also that helps with, like, a pay cut.
Oh, sure.
I'm getting paid twice, right? Once as an actor, once as an executive producer. So that's kind of dope, right? But I didn't start a timer, so I don't know how long we've been going. But let's look here. Roughly 30 minutes. It's time to talk about Avatar. You ready? Gotta keep the guys up.
Let's talk about
Avatar, bitches. So that's literally what I wrote here. Avatar: Way of Water, bitches. So oh fuck! I choked on my own spit. I, like, breathed in to speak and just.
I know you went to code talk and you just. All right.
Got him. Oh shit! I got a head rush. Let's see, box office. Oh, excuse me. Domestically, it made $134.1 million. That's a lot of cheddar.
Whole lot of cheese.
That's a whole wheel of cheese. Worldwide, it made $441.7 million on a budget of $250. So if you double that for marketing, like we always say, you're looking at like $500. So they're just in under the line there, but sure to make its money back. Yeah. And, like, that's kind of the interesting thing that I've been reading is, like, nobody in, like, the show business is willing to write it off yet, but they are willing to go, it's coming in a little underwhelming performance-wise, but it's still it's still a massive success as far as like if any other movie made $134 million domestically, that's a big release. That's Marvel numbers, you know. But like I said, there was that expectation that James Cameron himself said of like, this has to be the 4th highest grossing film of all time, right? So it needs to open strong or have really good legs like the first Avatar did.
Yeah, I remember that Avatar was in the theater forever.
Like 3 months.
Yeah, I was in there forever.
And made decent money week over week. And so this would kind of need to hold that type of momentum to kind of reach a 4th highest grossing film of all time. But it's got the potential. You know, like I said, nobody's counting it out yet, but it has more work to do than if it had just blown, hit the $200 million mark on its first weekend like it had kind of projected.
Sure.
Reception-wise, the Rotten Tomatoes critic score is a 78% with an audience score of 93, so a bit of a divide there. Nothing major, but it is still a little bit split. IMDb has it at an 8.1 out of 10, and Metacritic gave it a 68. So kind of across the board there. You got like some high 70s, low 90s, 80, 68, right? You got a synopsis over there? Caught you lacking, bitch.
Oh, shit, you did. It's all because I had it pulled up on my phone. Give me one.
Okay.
All right.
Alrighty.
Jake Sully has formed a family and they are doing everything to stay together. However, they must leave their home and explore the regions of Pandora when an accident threat resurfaces. Jake must fight a difficult war against the humans. That is the same. I'm looking at both of them. That's the same plot as the first one.
Is it?
On a lush alien world of Pandora, Jake is in the world of Pandora because the planet's environment and explains the links to human minds. And Jake grows with
Neytiri. Yep.
And they're drawn into battle for the survival of the world against the humans.
Yeah. So I was gonna do like I always do and pull up the IMDb plot synopsis. Jake Sully lives with his newfound family formed on the extrasolar moon Pandora. Once a familiar threat returns to finish what was previously started, Jake must work with Neytiri and the army of the Na'vi race to protect their home. And I went, shit, her name's Neytiri. Neytiri. I was like Zoe Saldana,
Yeah.
But, yeah. So let's just start with our spoiler-free plot thoughts. What do you say?
Sure.
All right. So, felt very similar to the first one for me.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely long.
Yeah.
For me, not necessarily justifiably.
It felt a little long in the middle.
Yeah.
Like there's a hard dead point where I was like,
yeah, if it's a 3-hour movie, the middle hour, woo, you got to find a way to condense the first 2 together, I think.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could condense the 3 together, not into an hour, but like find me a 2-hour, 20-minute movie in there, I liked some of the intricacies of the new tribes that we meet.
Sure.
Because I don't think it's a spoiler to say like they go and meet Water Tribe.
Right.
Some of like the cultural stuff there where it's like, oh, okay, definitely seems inspired by like the Maori from New Zealand and Australia. It felt like the third act was the highlight for me.
Yes.
Which we'll get into why a little bit. Had a lot of like, I wrote down here, had a lot of the kids not listening to the parents and vice versa.
Yes.
Where like that felt like a lot of
that was the problem.
That was the problem a lot of the times was like the elders just not listening to the kids and vice versa. Where like the kids would be given explicit instructions and then they'd go against them. And then vice versa, where like the kids would come to the parents and be like, hey, I think this or I see this. And they'd be like, you're wrong. And it's like, well, no, he's right because we just saw it.
Right, yeah. I ain't yanking your chain.
Yeah, he is not lying to you, Chief. That's all I wrote. Like, what do you got for spoiler-free plot thoughts?
For spoiler-free plot thoughts, yeah, I did think it was interesting seeing how different they were, especially in like the anatomy.
You're right. Yeah.
Like how from the Pandora, they're more like cat.
Well,
cat
so
like,
they're all from Pandora.
or well,
the forest tribes.
Yeah, the forest tribes, and more like that cat-like, and then the water tribes are
They
almost
have like a thick tail.
Yeah, they make
like a
me think
tail.
of the Galapagos monsters.
Yeah, the Galapagos
lizards.
Yeah, iguana and whatever. Like the ones that spit blood out of their fucking eye sockets.
Yeah, but they're real thick, and that's kind of how they look with their tails and how they swim and stuff like that, which I thought was pretty cool.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah,
of like, okay, how would these? If we think of them like animals, how would they evolve differently?
But like, it felt like a lot of potential, but then
didn't necessarily land for you.
It didn't land. Like, they just, you could have dove more into it, and you didn't.
Right. Yeah, could have spent some of the time on that instead.
But yeah, and then
what are your thoughts on? Well, I'm thinking about it. The fact that the language that they invented for this really just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, it was like it went away in the first like
5 minutes. He's like,
4 or 5
I struggled with the language at first, but now it's just like English to me. And then they're like, all right, now we just got to speak English.
I was like,
you invented a whole language, James Cameron.
Yeah,
like people learned a language.
Do it. Just work with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't mind subtitles either.
No,
like I'm fine with it. But
all right, well,
we can move forward from
here. All right.
Woof, man.
Yeah, characters and chemistry. So, I said that Zoe Saldana does the best acting far as being able to bring her performance through the CGI.
That's just in general.
Well, yeah, but she really shines through even through like the CGI and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Because some of them I felt like I couldn't necessarily read their face as well as I wanted to.
Sure.
But like she's really expressive insofar as like you believe that she is like animalistic almost at times, and then she has some emotional beats that are actually really emotional.
There's that part where it's not spoiler. Well, we'll wait to talk about it. But there's a part I want to talk about that Zoe does acting wise.
Let's see. Her and Sam Worthington didn't have crazy chemistry for me. Like, they're supposed to be a parental unit for like over a decade. Like, they've got 5 kids together now, right?
Doesn't feel like it.
No. No, like I wouldn't like, these are people who've been married for 15 years. You know what I mean?
It feels like it still just kind of picked up where it left off.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to say it's been so many years, and it's like, well, it still sounds like Jake's a bit of an outsider, or like he still looked differently.
Yeah.
And like that didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then, there wasn't a whole lot of good like parental teamwork.
No.
It was like Jake said something.
There was a couple moments of like combat teamwork between the two of them that I was like, oh, they've got some good teamwork there.
Yeah.
But as far as like a parental unit,
you're lacking.
Spider is a new character in this. He's a human child who was like left behind.
Yeah.
And was like raised by the Na'vi. Couldn't get a read on that kid.
No.
He felt wishy-washy, but not as like, his character is.
I strictly thought the whole purpose of his character was to show how advanced the CGI was, that they're able to get like somebody,
put a human in there.
Yeah, put a human with CGI and still have it look so together.
Yeah.
And which I was like, weird flex. Like, how does that involve?
Right, yeah.
Weird flex, but okay.
And he came off kind of like a little bit cringy at times.
A little bit, and like they said they're like he's just kind of like a stray cat.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well.
He was a little. The acting was a little cringy only because it's like we get to see a human acting like the Na'vi,
right? Yeah,
but he looks like a human, and you're like, what fucking nerds? You know what I mean? Like seeing a human like hiss and growl like a cat, and like it's like fucking middle school, you know?
Yeah, got the horse girl.
Yeah, but I found that Katie, who's like the adopted daughter, which we'll get into that, and the younger son. To be the 2 most interesting characters for me.
Yes.
Even though I couldn't tell you what any of the kids' names are other than Katie and Spider.
Susan? I don't know.
I wanted to hit you with it like back when we were debating the first Avatar and talking about like how culturally like impactful it wasn't. and you're like, no, I mean, and then we got Chris Collins in the fucking chat being a douche, right? I wanted to be like, oh yeah, well, here's how culturally impactful it was. What's the main character's name?
Jake.
You wouldn't have known that before seeing this one, would you?
What?
That his name was Jake Sully. Before seeing this one, you wouldn't have been like, Jake Sully.
No, yeah, from the first one, yeah.
Yeah, you have
Maybe
that locked down?
not his last name, but his first name, sure.
Right, okay. What's your favorite line from Avatar?
From, like, the first one or the second one?
The first one.
I'm paraphrasing, but there's a scene where he's talking where he's trying to convince them that he's not with them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about how, like, them as people showed me the way.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I'm with them, I want to be with you.
Right. What's your favorite line from Star Wars? Name a line from Star Wars.
Luke, I am your father.
Right, yeah. Do or do not. There's no try.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Well, because some of those are, like, more
my
like
fucking
snip,
mom,
snip.
my mom can tell you what Yoda sounds like. Right?
Who else?
You know what I mean? Like, my mom is not into that stuff at all. If I go boom, 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 ba-dum, boom, ba-dum, my mom's like, oh, it's Darth Vader, right? My mom doesn't watch Star Wars, but that's cultural impact. You know what I mean?
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, no, I know.
No, all right.
No. I'm going at Chris Collins. Like, you know what, Chris? Fuck you.
Why does this feel towards me?
Yeah, well, because your name is Chris. I'm pretty sure that's why this guy's name. He's too afraid to put his real name out there. He won't step up. No, sorry, I got a little sidetracked and bitter there. Do you have any thoughts on characters and chemistry?
As far as characters, we did get to see, and it was really cute at first, but then it got like kind of cringe and old like real quick.
Right.
Not Jake Sully's eldest, but his youngest son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who finds that girl, or is introduced to that girl.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of that chemistry there.
Right, and then they don't do anything.
That felt genuine, right? And I was like, oh, it's kind of cute. And then they're talking about it with some like those whales that
yeah, the whale creature things.
Yeah, that come in and out.
They're called like tuk-tuks or something.
Yeah, and but then like there was one moment where it got cringe, and then like it almost felt like the movie was able to be like, maybe that was cringe. We just won't do that anymore. Yeah. And so
we just won't have any scenes between the two of them anymore.
Yeah, and then I was just kind of like, well.
And we're getting into spoiler territory there, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, to really talk about it, we kind of have to.
It feels like a weird movie where there's a lot to it, but
there's not.
There's
a lot of open-ended things.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie. So I think we should just get
to
into
rate
spoilers.
this thing.
Yeah, we need to.
So how do we rate stuff around here?
Well, of course, you can always be overwhelmed, which means you are thoroughly, you thoroughly enjoyed the film. High expectations.
Right.
You can be underwhelmed, which means you were disappointed, you weren't satisfied, or of course, you can be simply whelmed.
Yeah. So,
I'm heartbroken to say I was underwhelmed.
I feel like I was simply whelmed only because it met my expectations.
I was really excited for it, and I got let down big time. Like I think we left, and I like.
You seemed sad.
Yeah, I was very upset.
So I told you I kind of was hoping that it would either be really good and I could like eat my words, you know what I mean,
or
really bad, so I can be like, dude, this movie's dog shit, you know. And it's neither. Like for me, it is breathtakingly mid. Like
and.
Because like I think about something like, what's the bad movie? Morbius.
Yes.
Bad. I had a lot to say about that movie.
What do you mean?
Because it was so painfully bad.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm fucking saying. Don't even.
That's pretty good.
You were there when we recorded it and saw it. You contemplated
Morbius
shitting longer
good.
at
Morbius
the movie
was
theater,
good.
so you didn't have to go back to watching it. You wouldn't like me when I'm hungry. And then this,
I was actually in the movie, man.
Yeah, you were. This, wasn't any of that. It wasn't so bad that there's like we can make fun of it, and it wasn't so good that we can gush over it. It was just like it happened. Now the action scene at the end, the last hour, it was pretty solid off and on. I mean, as far as like the action beats were really good.
Yeah, that part was fine, but I was just The first one I thought was really good, and I know like you've kind of said and like joked around like it's just like a Pocahontas with blue people, which I mean sure, but like I still liked it just visually and like just the story, like the main antagonist. I felt like the character development behind that was kind of dog shit, and then like I thought
talking about the Colonel.
Yeah,
they bring him back in this.
Yeah, so in this one, so they
we're in spoilers now. You don't have to jump around and beat around the bush.
Yeah, in spoilers, it's like during the final moments of the Colonel dying, thinking quick on his feet, he uploads his conscience to...
Before they went off to battle, they made all of them...
Or that's right,
upload their consciousness.
And so, as soon as he dies, they can send him back in a year later or 10 years later, or however long it is. And it was just kind of like... I thought that was a cheap antagonist.
They literally had to make the Avatar Colonel sit and watch the original recipe Colonel
die.
Go, well, no, like, tell the Avatar Colonel, here's your motivations. So that way you could go, okay, he doesn't have to relearn anything. No, now he just knows.
He knows everything. Yeah. He is the same guy, which is like...
but blue and strong.
Right.
And tall.
That was not cool. And then their CGI, like... It was cool, don't get me wrong, and they kicked it off really nice in the beginning where you get to see like the forest tribe and you still get to see everything, and I was really excited. And then it just went to the water, and
like the water was impressive,
but it's
not
just
as
water.
Visually interesting.
Yeah, there was no like there's a little bit inside of one of the tuk-tuks, the fluorescence that you got to see, and like the faces.
When they see the water tribe's version of like the tree of life, was interesting because it's all bioluminescent.
Sure, and like they needed that so much more. Like they didn't really do anything with like the coral reefs. It was just like the big blue. Yeah. Ocean. And, like, that was a big letdown because that was one of the things I was super excited about. I will say, some of the things that I did like is they did leave a lot of open-ended things, not in a bad way, per se. Because I got to thinking, I think it was more of a slow burn. So, in the movie, there is a scene where they're connecting to, what was it, one of the...
It was the Tree of Life.
The Tree of Life, and Katie had a seizure.
Right.
And it kind of seems like...
We got to talk about Katie when you're done here.
Yes. And it seems like something was there, but also could lead into like something potentially more, which we'll dive into what that could be when we start talking about Katie.
So before we get into Katie, first of all, Katie's played by Sigourney Weaver.
Yes.
Which I spent the whole movie going, they really fucking just put Sigourney Weaver to like she's not in this. Yeah, she is. She plays her daughter. So her daughter, I'm like 90% certain that Katie is like Avatar Jesus.
Yeah.
Because they even say, like, so somehow, I'm paraphrasing because they don't know the character's name.
Said, quote,
somehow Sigourney Weaver's kid.
Her pregnancy was a mystery to everybody.
Yeah. So there's like a weird implication there of like, was somebody taking advantage of this Avatar's body?
But they tease Katie about who the dad is.
Yeah.
Because, that nobody knows.
Which raises another question for me. What does their downstairs look like? You know what I'm saying? Like they showed us a Sigourney Weaver like Avatar titty.
Yeah. Oh yeah. God, yeah.
Let me see Jake Sully's penis. Like what does the blue penis look like?
We saw the hair in the first one where you can connect them and like they became one. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was like I'm gonna sound like a pig here for a split second.
You were turned on?
No, I was I was disappointed that I wasn't turned on, man. Like
you're an animal.
I wanted to see some cool weird sex scenes. Like call me a freak. Okay, fine. Fucking fine. But like I'm saying what everyone's thinking. Yeah, right. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm the hero. I'm the knight who stands up.
I'm the one over here going, what's her dick look like? But it's a legitimate question.
No, yeah.
In Shape of Water, she has sex with a fish man.
Yes.
And Octavia Spencer's character is like, how does that work? And she just simply mimes with her hands like a dick coming out from between like fins, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, bingo, that's all I need to know, right?
Yep.
If the potential is there that these kids think a human could have impregnated this avatar, that implies the existence of a vagina, right?
Half-breed with the hands.
And I'm just saying, if we're going to get this in depth with like, they've got the language and they wrap their hair and that's how they show me how their dicks work.
Yeah.
Like,
Is it like a duck where it's a corkscrew?
Right,
or
what are we looking at?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, Katie is like a virgin birth, basically.
Correct, yes, the Virgin Mary.
No.
Or no, she is
Jesus.
Yes.
Where I'm pretty sure, like, the father in this case is God, except God. I swear to God, Joseph, I don't know. It must be God's. Oh,
What? I don't know, man.
I don't know, man. It's crazy. He's like, but we haven't had... I know. That's what I'm saying.
That's the weirdest
That's
part.
the crazy part. It must be God's. Yeah, 99% certain that her father is actually Awa, or...
What'd you call me?
Awa! I'm pretty sure that... I think that's how you pronounce whatever their version of, like, Mother Nature or God is.
Yeah.
Because, like, in the first movie, it's not like they do not explain it. But I think they're like, we're going to explain it in the third movie. But in the first movie, Sigourney Weaver's character dies, and is dying, and they're like, we'll use Awa to transfer her consciousness from, her mind into the Avatar's body.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for Sigourney Weaver,
but now,
it works for Jake.
Well, and also now it also worked for the Colonel.
Well, but that's different. The Colonel, they did it back on Earth with, like, science. This was, like, through the tree. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Or human science already knew how to put you in the Avatar, because that was the whole premise.
Yeah,
right?
Sure. All right.
We can bash on this movie, but we got to be accurate.
All right. No. I wasn't. That's why I stopped talking.
All right. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know where this is going. But, yeah, they were like, she is Avatar Jesus. Mm-hmm. She can also, like... do some water bending with the wildlife
with the fish
when she connects to Awa. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she had a seizure, like you were saying, while she's like attached to the tree.
So yeah, you're kind of stuck in this limbo where we're not sure if like she is just like hypersensitive to like the life tree, and it is just because of a seizure because of her being a half breed. Right.
I don't like that phrase.
Isn't that what they said though? Like they call her a half breed.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It feels racial.
Very, but maybe.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, I'm quoting the movie. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Like it leaves it for like questions. I can still be like, hopefully this will be answered in the third one.
Hopefully, yeah.
But like, I would have liked it just to gone a little more in depth with it.
Tell you what, I would have liked
a better movie.
Them not spending 3 hours and not answering any questions.
Yeah, I was.
You know what I'm saying? Because like, you're like, I mean, not in a bad way. There's a lot of open-endedness. You know what? That is bad. There's 3 hours, and I've got a lot of fucking questions.
No, absolutely.
They spent 3 hours to set up the next 3-hour movie.
This is the only part that I'm talking about that like makes me like it's not bad. Like I can see hope on the other side.
Because like it makes me think about James Cameron being like, we've got scripts for 5 of them, but we could end it in 3. I'm like, if the next one is this, I do not want 5 of them.
It just condense them down to 3. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
You really didn't need 2, because like this was the first movie, as far as like okay. So instead, like the fish out of water thing, no pun intended, was instead of a human trying to integrate with the Avatar, with the Na'vi, it was the forest tribe trying to integrate with the water tribe.
Yes.
Right.
Same premise.
Same premise. You still have the ups and downs.
You're not the same.
They go through,
you look different.
Yeah, they go through these trials with the animals to gain trust and whatever, right? Like it's the same stuff. Mm-hmm. Even the fucking like, now we're getting into the action, right? It was like so in the first movie, it's them ambushing the humans in the floating mountains.
The plane.
Yeah, in the plains with the flying beasts, right? And this,
we still get one of the flying beasts.
We still get a flying beast. They have a bunch of water flyers, basically.
Yeah, they hover over the water.
They hover over the water and can dive out of it and be out of the water flying for a fair bit. And they just attack a boat, but it's the same like setup, right? Yeah. And then it turns into hand-to-hand combat and like bows versus guns and stuff like you got at the end of the first one,
right?
Except the Colonel doesn't die this time, but you think he does.
And right at the last second, he gets pulled out by none other than
Spider, who is his son.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're doing with that character because Spider did not. He
didn't stay with the Colonel.
Yeah, he saved the Colonel, but didn't stay with him, and he went back.
In fact, I feel like he basically gave him the bird and was like, "Fuck you, I'm going back to the blue people, to the Na'vi." Right.
Right, but then that's like, why did you save him then?
Right.
You see where I was going? Where I was really disappointed.
Yeah.
It just not unlike we got to talking about it earlier. The only good fight scene was at the very end.
Right. Yeah, because there's a little bit of action like early on. So there's actually that's not true. There is a decent scene at the beginning when the kids get stuck with the first time that like the human avatars get there.
Mm-hmm.
And are like in full commando gear and are stomping around and all that, and like are holding the kids hostage, and it's just Jake and what do we decide her name is Neytiri?
Yeah. So what?
Like trying to get the kids back. Yeah, in a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, there's 2,
and there is about 90 minutes between
them. Because
them.
that's the thing is like when you do have those fight scenes, they are dope as fuck.
Yeah,
they are cool. But it's just like we need more of them.
Yeah, like these. Turns out these aren't like deeply emotional dramas. They're strictly like their visual overload. Right. Give me some badass action.
Mm-hmm. Show me some cool ass
beautiful
fights.
CGI.
Yep.
Right.
Show
if you
me
can't
some
do that
blue
for 3 hours. Yeah, show me the blue dick.
Yep.
If you can't do that in 3 hours, make it 2. Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
And apparently the first cut that James Cameron has turned in for 3 was like 9 goddamn hours.
Oh my god.
I'm like, well, I'm not seeing a 9-hour movie, so.
Do you think there would even be like an intermission for something like that?
There would have to be. Well, it's not going to release.
Oh, sure.
They're either going to go, you got to split that into multiples.
Yeah.
Or they're going to cut the fuck out of it.
Jesus.
And like, if my thing is like, there was nothing in this 3 hours. What does 9 hours look like?
What is 9 hours doing?
That is a full day at work with an hour lunch. Like that is my day at work. Like
fucking horse shit is what it is.
That is a 9 to 5 with an hour lunch, right?
I was
fuck that. And he was like, let me put the visual effects on the whole thing before we start cutting it. And it's like, how much fucking money is that going to cost, James Cameron? I like the idea that people just use his full name, Adam, or they just call him Jim. Listen, Jimmy, we're not doing that. Fuck you, Jim. I don't know, man. I don't like. It was a 3-hour movie, and I'm stumped. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential.
I have 4 bullet points for my spoilers, and I want to read them verbatim just because I like my train of thought here.
Copy.
The Colonel is literally in this movie as the bad guy again, except this time he's an Avatar clone. They even have a little scene where he is caught back up to speed so that he has the same hate and motivations as the last Colonel. We see Sigourney Weaver's Avatar titty, which felt weird. Katie is actually the miracle virgin birth of Sigourney Weaver's character. 99% certain that she is Jesus and her father is actually Awa in some odd way. Not really clear, but I feel like it could have something to do with them attempting to transfer her consciousness in the first movie. And then I just go, all right, let's move on to Cryptid Corner. I don't know. Like, that's all I got.
Yeah.
I mean, as we've talked, I did have like, oh, yeah.
Sure,
but,
yeah.
Oh, in fact, right there, the whales, right?
Yeah.
So the whales are like hyper intelligent, more intelligent than us, right?
More emotional.
More emotional, right? And they're like, so we're gonna hunt and kill these things, right? That's the humans, right?
Yep.
And doesn't feel off character for the humans, to be like.
In fact, that's one of the plot points where I didn't mind. I was like, hey, that makes sense.
Yeah, that checks out. Except the plot point that I dislike is that they've got like anti-aging juice in their brain.
Yes.
And it just replaces the
rock.
unobtainium from the first movie of like, this is why we're coming back here. And they just kind of pass over the fact that apparently part of why the humans are back now is they're not just trying to clear out the mines. They're just going to take Pandora for themselves because Earth is dying.
Yeah.
The general says that in passing to the colonel. They're like, Earth is dying. We need this planet. But like, they can't fucking breathe there. Yeah. Why is this the planet that you're stuck on?
Yeah, that was like one of my biggest things is like,
you can't live here.
I feel like one of the first things is like, is the air breathable?
Right, yeah.
Like that's number
one. Is the
one.
atmosphere similar to ours and we can live in it? If not, then fucking move on.
Yeah, why are we
But
here?
I guess there's water and stuff, and they're like, all right, well, we can figure something out.
And they got the shit for the masks, I guess.
Or just put everybody in a fucking avatar and just fuck it. We're all blue people now. I don't know. Doesn't feel thought out. No. And it doesn't, and I'm not like, ooh, I can't wait to get those answers. I'm just annoyed that I don't have them. So, I don't know, man.
That's why we're here to talk about it.
Yeah.
About how
I can't say I was underwhelmed. Unless underwhelmed just means bad. Are we going to just say like underwhelmed just means bad?
I mean underwhelmed as in my expectations were really, really high for it.
And it really did not.
And it really did not do it.
Yeah. Well, my expectations were that it was going to be mid, and it felt really mid. But as we talk about it, I feel more bad about it. like not bad about it, but like I feel like it's more bad than mid. So I don't know, man. But that was a disgusting sound. I apologize.
There it goes again.
You hear that? What was that? I'm scared.
What was that?
Chris, you got anything else there?
No.
All right, well, you got cryptid over there?
I think Jesus Christ. Just so hard into it. You got a fucking cryptid.
You got a fucking cryptid. What are we doing here?
I think what you meant to say is, welcome back to Chris's Cryptid Corner. I'm your host, Chris. So this week, actually I discovered, I heard it before, but I didn't, it's one of those things where I was like, well, it's the same thing. Owlman.
Oh.
And that's very similar to Mothman, right?
Yeah.
So the Owlman was given the name to, be an owl-like humanoid entity.
Entity.
And titties. But it says that it lives in Cornwall, England, and has a bunch of sightings.
Hello.
So it's in England.
At least I
It's in a shooting range. That is the Owlman. Live footage confirmed. It says here that the first sighting took place in 1976 in the village of Monan, Mawnan.
Monan, I don't know.
Monan. The Owlman is sometimes seen as an English counterpart of the Mothman due to the similarities between the Mothman and the Owlman. So here I have a couple of sightings that were listed here.
All right.
In 1976, April 17th to be exact, a paranormal researcher by the name of Troy Shields came forward claiming that he had investigated a report of two young girls on a holiday in Monan who saw a large winged man hovering over the church tower. Some stories vary, but the most consistent do come to churches and some man hovering over them. And then it looks like here on July 3rd, 1978, 14-year-old Sally Chapman was camping with a friend, Barbara Perry, in the woods near the church. And I'm trying to see... This just looks like it was the church tower of Monan, the church tower of Monan. So it looks like primarily these are where the Owlman's chillin', Jay chillin'. So Sally and Barbara, Jay chillin' in the woods near a church, as anyone does.
Yep. It's called Tuesday.
No, that's the 9 to 5.
Yeah, that's just what you do.
But according to Sally, she had heard a hissing sound around the tent, and as she turned around to see what was making that noise, she turned around to see a figure that looked like a man, looked like an owl that was as big as a man. That's a big motherfucking owl.
Big fucking owl.
That's a big
if
fucking
I see
owl.
that, I'm fucking.
Dude,
I'm pulling a 180.
Scary.
I'm getting out of there.
Owls are. Have you heard a barn owl scream? Jamie, hold on. Let's pull this up. I was actually just talking about this.
Find an owl. Find an audio bite of the Owlman.
Oh yeah, that too, dude. If it sounds anything like this, I'm fucking terrified. This is recorded on September 11th, 2017. Pass.
No.
Nah, that ain't
Get
me.
out of there.
That ain't me. Let's see here. Owlman.
It just turns into an ad for Raid Shadow Legends.
But so, the Owlman sounds like a little bit of that barn owl screech I heard. So that's all I'm saying, man. Is like, if it sounds anything like that, I'm gone.
Yeah, I don't want to be any part of that.
But then it says, the girl reported that the creature flew up into the air, revealing black pinched claws, as well as sightings of the figure were continued to be reported on the following day. And when it came to the description, people said for both it was both like a silverish gray as well as black. On the occasions 2 years later that people still were making reports in June and August of 1979, all within the vicinity of that church in specific.
The one there in Monahan?
Mm-hmm. And then looks like here that the first witness dates all the way, or the farthest witness with real like solid evidence rather than just calling in, was in 1995, so still pretty recent.
Yeah.
A female tourist from Chicago wrote to the Western Morning News, claiming to have seen a man bird with a ghastly face, a wide mouth, glowing eyes, pointed ears, and what she described as clawed wings.
Jesus.
So it was flying over Monahan. So I mean, I think that's pretty interesting that a bunch of sightings, and no one's saying that it's been super active of like killing or hunting people,
Right,
but
yeah.
it is just scaring people, and
it's
it
just
kind of
creepy.
stalks.
Yeah.
But and then hearing the owl man too.
Yeah, don't like that. I just picture it picking up like small dogs, you know. Your dog's just gone.
My feet gone.
Yeah.
My dogs are
My
barking.
dogs are like, please.
But
Yeah.
I know it's fucking a little spoopy.
Oh, spoopy.
A little spoopy. But I don't
It's the sound bites that do it to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to make sure that
Yeah, you can always
from now on I'll start bringing the sound bites to them.
It like actualizes them as what does it, you know.
Or maybe I'll just start talking about true shit that's got really scary sound bites.
Are you saying that's not real?
Huh?
Are you saying that none of these have been real?
No, I'm saying like true crime. Things that have been reported
Yeah.
on the LAPD.
I don't know, man. That starts to feel a little sleazy to me.
Sleazy.
Yeah, like true crime stuff. It feels a little like
I like murder mysteries.
exploitative, you know?
I like murder mysteries.
Where it's like, I mean, I see the meme that always makes me laugh, where it's like, you know, me being murdered on the side of the highway, and it's like 2 mid-30s women. All right, murder babies, let's talk about our favorite killing, you know? It's just, it's like,
Now,
yeah, it feels a
people,
little exploitative.
yeah, people do exploit it a whole lot to a certain level of. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting to like I watched Dahmer. I started. I didn't finish it.
Yeah.
Like I think it's interesting for like that, but man, yeah, some of these people watch it and like listen to it and do research religiously about it, and it's like that's a little creepy. It's a little scary.
Yeah, it's a little sketch.
But that's all I had for my cryptid. What you been thinking about?
I've been thinking about the American Trucking Simulator. Yeah. Like, dude, I've been playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's literally you just
all you're doing.
You drive a truck, like a semi truck,
Mm-hmm.
right? You pick up your whatever the cargo is, drive it somewhere.
Sure.
You've got turn signals and shit, and like I put in an audiobook or whatever, and I'm just like I honk the horn at people that are going too slow. Like it's all computer. I mean, it's not other people. It's a computer, and I'm like, get off the road, you know. And I'd be speeding, you know, but I'd be like 5 over, you know, 5 you're fine, 10 you're mine, you know. And so
5 you're fine, 10 you're mine.
I'm trying to figure out how to put on the fucking cruise control, you know, and just drive at 80 mile an hour down the fucking road. But I was telling you and Morgan, like, there's a bunch of expansions because it's like I've got like Nevada, California, and another state. I don't remember. Arizona. That's what I said. And
you didn't tell me I had Arizona.
But there's a bunch of games or a bunch of states that are like DLC basically, and it's like the entire West Coast and then like the second state in, right? Like down that line.
Sure.
And Texas. But I was doing the math. If I bought all the states, it was like $100 some, like $110.
How much was the game?
I don't remember, like maybe 15, 20.
Well, that ain't bad.
Could have been more. I don't remember. I probably got it on a Steam sale, I'm sure.
Could have been. Inflation's crazy these days.
But how about that? How about the weather, huh? I fucking like I lose myself. I just get in there. It literally like it took like an hour and a half.
I'm just gonna get you a trucker hat.
Dude, I told Morgan, I was like, if I just did like streaming for like my job, I would get like the full, like I'd get a like the steering wheel and the pedals and all that, and just stream truck simulators, you know. And
You even got the horn.
burp burp, you know. I could do it.
You get rid of your gaming chair and you just have a semi-G.
Yeah, but like one of the really nice, like, you know, when people own their own truck.
You know, it's the one where it's got the real bouncy when you're moving it.
Yeah. But I sleep in my office from now on. I've got a cab in the back that I just sleep in.
You got a hot plate and you get a piss bottle. It's just a Sprite bottle, 2 liter.
I make Morgan dress up real nasty, and I call her a lot lizard. I make her put in fake nasty teeth, you know.
You guys drive down to the truck stop.
Yeah, about to pick her up, bring her back. That's horrendous.
That is awful.
Yeah, I give her a $10, you know.
$10 ass at TJ's.
Jeez. That's a disgusting line from that. Yeah, this is moving faster than $10 ass at TJ's. You're like, ugh.
Damn, that's moving fast.
That's scooting. And then the other thing, like I mentioned, an audiobook. I've been listening to World War Z.
Oh.
That's good shit, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say that like you've read it. Have you read it?
I've read parts of it. I started to read it. It was one.
I read excerpts.
No.
I read reviews on Twitter.
I had it, and then I moved, and I lost it in the move.
Yeah. The audiobook, I think, is like that's the way to do it. Because like they've got Alan Alda in this bitch. Like they've got actors in this doing the voice acting for it.
I didn't know that.
But as I've been listening to it, I told Morgan I could definitely see them doing it as a show.
Sure.
Do a series. Because the way it's set up basically is, it's like the movie World War Z with Brad Pitt pretty much isn't the book at all. No. Other than that there's zombies and it's global. But the book is after the fact, and like basically we're on the upswing again. Yeah. After the zombie war is what they call them, or like the zombie wars. And the person who is like the author, air quote, right, of the book, it's actually his findings, as he's like a UN investigator, and he's traveling around and meeting all these different people who have like important or noteworthy stories from during the zombie wars. Yeah. And it's him interviewing them about like their experience. Yeah. So the chapters are broken up into like one of the chapters is like Homefront USA. And so he's talking to people who these were their experiences in the US, right? And things like that. So I could definitely see them doing almost anthology style. Sure. Where like the main character of the show is the investigator, and then each episode is a different person's perspective. Yeah,
that would actually be really cool.
And I think that'd be a vastly better way to do it than trying to do a movie. Because like there isn't really an overarching plot other than it's this investigator who is talking to all these different people. And to hear it in like an audio version, it just sounds like you're listening to interviews. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of interesting that way, where at times it's like really thought out as far as like, oh, wow, yeah, that would be a problem. Or, you know, and looking at different perspectives of like, how did they handle it in Cuba or in China or in Africa, you know, South Africa, things like that. Yeah. And just what was it like to be on, like, looking ahead at some of the chapters that I've got coming up, I wonder if one of the characters is an astronaut. Oh. Who was like on the space station or something. Yeah. I can't remember what the chapter was called, but I was like, that sounds like something from space. And it's like, yeah, that'd be an interesting perspective of like, we're stuck up here, don't know what's going on down there entirely, right?
And it's radio silent.
Yeah. Or like mixed radio. You know, we got some info at the beginning and then kind of went silent, and then we started getting some transmissions, right? So I just think that'd be interesting. But yeah, I really do like the idea of doing it as a show. And when I've read online, I mean, I'm not original for having come up with that. That seems to be the consensus, is like, we want a TV show of World War Z. But yeah, definitely check out, like, not a sponsor at all. But like, if you can get it on like Audible or wherever else they do audiobooks, I think I think it's like the director's cut. Yeah. Or like the ultimate edition, something to that effect. It's a long ass audiobook, but it's got some really good stuff in there. Great voice acting in it. What have you been thinking about?
Honestly, I've been grinding on God of War.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about next week.
Yeah.
Following up with the conclusion of Andor.
Yep.
I've been playing the fuck out of Grand Theft Auto
Yeah,
lately.
you have.
Like I've been
Yeah,
doing
you
a
found
shit.
somebody that actually likes to play
Yeah,
with you.
yeah. And him and I will do a shit ton of heists. He's got like all the heists unlocked, and we'll just do that and make bank. And there's this game I think you should get. It's called Plate Up.
Okay.
I think I mentioned to you before. I'm not sure if it was on or off. The recording.
Okay.
But it's this game where it's you and up to like 4 or 5 people.
Okay.
Own this restaurant.
Okay.
And it's almost like Gang Beast art style, where you're just like these blob people.
Yeah.
But one of them's dressed up in a chef's outfit, and the other one's dressed up as like a server, like in a vest.
Yeah.
But you go through and you have like certain tables you can set up, and the kitchen you set up, and you have to get these people's orders, make their
it's like
food.
like across like Diner Dash and
Kind of, but the second one of them gets mad, you lose the whole game, and you have to start over.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of fun, and there's times where like because if I'm the server, I can still cook the food.
Yeah.
Right. Like, or if you're the chef, like you're like, fuck, I need to grab these plates over here.
Yeah, I've got to get this order out.
Yeah, because the bar is about to go down of people waiting outside.
Yeah.
I need to grab this plate off the table so people can start walking over here. You start cooking the burgers. So as soon as they sit down, we already got their order. Yeah, we already got their order. And so it's like a lot of that communication, and I've been playing with one of my buddies, and it's a lot of fun, and I think you and I'd be good at it too.
Yeah.
I'm hankering that game. It's fucking good.
What was that game that we looked up? Pulsar?
Yeah.
Lost Colony?
Yeah.
Where it was because I was telling you about FTL, which is like the managing a spaceship as you travel across the galaxy. And I was like, man, what if it was co-op and first person?
We found it.
And I Googled, I was like, FTL, but co-op and first person. And everybody was like, this is the game right here. And it looks really good.
Yeah, we'll have to
check that out. Because it's up to 5 people and you all have like different. But I was looking, there's also, you can have AI.
Okay. And
like crew members, yeah. So if you don't have 5 people that you can consistently get together to play it.
Sure.
Because that would be kind of hard to organize.
A little peeky peek.
A little bit of the poke. But other than that, I'm just I got BeamNG Drive.
Oh yeah.
I'm fucking on that. I don't know how to work the controls. Not one bit.
Just not good at it.
Nah, I don't know how to slow it down.
And you were all excited.
I was too, man. Like it comes in, it's like
you didn't realize that it was going to be involved.
Yeah, first off, like it makes you drive a stick. I mean, like I know the premise of a stick, but I'm not great at it, especially not on a computer. So like I'm just like going maybe 20 miles an hour, trying to crash into a pole.
Yeah. It's a fender bender.
Yeah, and so that's been
the airbags don't even go off.
But
I heard that.
Yeah, you did.
Welcome to manhood.
That's about it. Well, I mean, I've really been grinding on God of War. I made a lot of progress. I will say, like from the last point, I was sitting at like 11 hours and like 40 minutes right from my last save.
Yeah.
And then for my new save, I'm sitting at like 22:30.
Yeah.
And I was just
doubled it.
You know what I've been fucking doing?
What?
I've been playing the shit ton out of Inscription.
Yeah.
I damn near beat it last night.
Did you?
I did.
That's crazy because you really got to beat God of War.
I know, but it was just something like I still had it pulled up, and I was like, all right, let me just play this. Let me. It's a card game for those who don't know. I'm like, let me just play this one last card game, and I beat it. I made it all the way through, right?
The 2D stuff.
Yeah, I made it through the 2D stuff because it set me back from when we were talking on Discord for a little bit. I was sitting there and I was trying to go through the first part where it's the actual card game with the one dude, the prospector, and all the other people. I beat that, and I was like, oh my god! And then it was the 2D, burnt through all the 2-dimensional shit in 20 minutes, and I was like, oh my god! Because I remember when I started it last time, the first one took me forever. So I don't know what I did different in this one, but I burnt through it. And then it kicks you back into another one of the first one.
Like the card game?
Yeah, but with a different character.
Okay.
And I think you might have to do it because there's 4 main characters, and you've taken down one, and I'm taking down the second one. I would assume that I would probably have to do
4.
it. 4 in total, which sounds like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty quick paced now. It's not as slow as the first one.
Yeah.
So I might, if I'm editing, I might have to hop back on that tonight because that is something that's been boggling me.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was just one of those last second.
Like, oh wait, I know what I've been thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah. But what about you? What have you been thinking about?
I already told you.
That's right.
Jesus.
That's right. I get so caught up in what I say sometimes. I apologize.
So again, we want to thank you guys so much for listening and all your support, obviously.
That's right.
If you liked this episode, be sure to leave us a great review on iTunes, 5 stars everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a big help. Share us on social media. Tell one friend about us. You know?
Yes.
Like just one. Like
Just
that's
one.
all. A friend. Like tell a friend.
Tell a friend.
I expect a friend from each of you.
Dude. Listen, I got 2 high C's here. Right?
One of them's unopened.
Yeah, one of them's unopened. So
That's for
bring
your
a friend.
friend.
That's for your friend.
Church only works if we get new sheep to shepherd, you know? Like a friend, tell. I'll just get mad. Chris, if people want to give us some feedback, suggestions, join the church, right?
Hear about the good word.
The word.
Yeah, you can always, take a look at us on our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Our Instagram is Simply Whelmed Podcast. Our Twitter handle is whelmed_simply. You can always check out our YouTube as well. That does not have anything on it.
Started shaking my head at you. Don't mention the YouTube. If you want to catch an episode that's 10 weeks old, go to our YouTube channel.
It's Simply Whelmed Podcast. But then, of course, if you had any suggestions or wanted to talk about, any cryptids, anything specific, or if you wanted to hear anything about us to talk about.
If you want to disagree with me on movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Collins got it.
Yeah.
So, who's up next?
Yeah. I feel like I'm going to get something from Chris Collins. It's like, he's probably like, oh, this is the episode for me. He tunes in and we hate it, and I call him out by name. He's like,
You drop his IP address.
It's like, whoa.
But yeah, you can always let us know. It's simplywellmailbag@gmail.com.
That's right. So next week, we're going to be doing our, I've got it in quotes here because it will not be a short episode, I'm sure.
No.
Doing our mini-sode, where we're only going to talk about God of War and Andor. So probably Andor first, and just as like a big picture.
And then
here's what we liked about the season.
And then we're just going to get crazy.
And then we're going to get stupid on God of War. So there's not going to be any news or cryptids or what we're thinking about. It's just going to be us talking about God of War and Andor. And then the first week of the new year, we'll be doing an episode on Glass Onion because that'll be out on Netflix.
That's right.
So that's the end of the episode. Chris, tell me.
Bye.
That's the end of the show.
We're
not doing any more of this. That was the last episode.
So long.
Goodbye.